Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations on New Comic Book Day.
Mm-hmm.
And the wall is extremely full. Everything showed up on time this week.
Mm-hmm.
I read a ton, and there's so many good books. And, you know, start with the caveat of there are a bunch of titles that we have picked a lot lately that are continuing to be good that we didn't pick to try to throw a little variety in.
Yeah, like, don't get us wrong, like, Birds of Prey and Transformers both came out this week. Easily could have been up here. Almost were.
Both were great.
Yeah.
Yeah, exceptional. So, but let's get with the picks that we did make, and we've got a couple number ones here from Image.
Yeah, so my pick is Bloodrick number 1. It's kind of, it's hard to kind of describe, because, like, not because it's, like, complicated or anything, in fact, it's actually very simple premise. Basically, it's just this kind of, like, barbarian-esque dude kind of, like, wandering through the forest, trying to find some food, having a real hard time with it. And just kind of, like, it's a lot of the appeals, it's very atmospheric. The art, I believe it's the writer is the artist, Andrew Kroenke?
Yes,
we'll say that. Andrew Kroenke. And despite the fact that, like, it's set during, like, the winter, everything, it's a lot of different shades of white. It still is, like, somehow, like, super, like, visually interesting. Just, like, the way, like, the trees will break up the landscape and just... I don't know. I kind of just, like, picked this one up, just like, oh, it's got, like, a nice little metal font on the, like, cover. Yeah. He's got, like, it kind of looks like a Conan-esque dude. And reading it, like, I don't know, it's just this kind of, like, fun... kind of breezy read. Like, it kind of reminds me of kind of like Samurai Jack, where there's, like, just a lot of moments of, like, quiet where you're just kind of, like, absorbing the, like, world around you.
Not where I thought you were gonna go with
No, yeah. I mean, it's also kind of Samurai Jack, and they're, like, it can be very violent when it wants to be.
Yeah.
like this is definitely a guy who's very comfortable visiting violence on things.
Right.
Yeah, but, like, it's two stories. The first one is him kind of, like, hunting. The other one is someone kind of relating this tale of this other time he was hunting, where he's just so dead set on getting this grouse hiding behind a tree that he's just, like, standing there for hours with his bow. Like, there's all these other animals, like, walking by, just like, I'm getting this bird. Like, because, like that's part of what I love about it, is, like, what little we do kind of get of, like, his, like, interior for Bloodrick is just, like, he's not, like, the smartest guy. Like, he's definitely very good at, like, hunting and fighting and everything, but, like, not a whole lot going on up here.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of, like, a very, like, fun read. And the art is gorgeous. There's, like, a couple panels in particular where just, like, when the action does happen, it's just, like, great. Like, it honestly, in some ways, kind of reminiscent of Danny Warren Johnson's.
So that's what I was going to say. When I saw this cover coming in as we were checking in stuff, I thought, wow, this is very reminiscent of early Daniel Warren Johnson stuff.
Yeah, like, it's definitely in, like, a similar vein while still being its own thing. Like, honestly, I'd say this is probably, like, one of the best looking books on the shelves today, which, again, there's a Danny Warren Johnson book, and I'm still saying that.
Yeah,
so,
wow.
Yeah, no, I was very pleasantly surprised and definitely excited for the next issue to come out.
Well, I'll be honest, I'm reading a couple, you know, barbarian books right now, and I saw that one and I was like, do I really want to add another one? But now after your description, I'm going to have to check it out.
And, like, he doesn't really seem like much of a barbarian yet, mostly because we only really see him interacting with, like, animals and stuff. But, like, I don't know, I'll be very curious to see what happens when he has to, like, deal with people, because I can't imagine he has great social skills.
He's got a 7 for charisma.
Oh, that might be generous.
Fantastic. Well, I went with something that is not really out there or brand new. It's very mainstream, but I went with Batman number 140. And the reason that I picked this is because this series, since Chip Zdarsky has taken over, has been extremely consistent. It's been very, very good. He's taking Batman and Bruce Wayne, spoiler alert, they're the same person, into a very dark place. And we go so much further down the rabbit hole in this issue. And then there's a massive twist at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's exceptional. So this is basically a fight scene between Joker and Batman. Joker, last issue, kidnapped a mentor of Batman's in order to lure him into this trap. And, you know, the sadist that the Joker is, it seems like he just wants Batman to beat him up, which is kind of a theme for the Joker, and to see how far he can push him. But he also knows that Batman's alter ego is in a fight for control over Batman's
trying to get in the
actions.
driver's seat.
Yeah, exactly. So then we get he brings back two interesting points from earlier story arcs in his run. And it's been the plan all along. And when you see that and you go, oh, wow. And then you go, oh, wow, again. It's just, it goes to show what a master Zdarsky is at telling a story. And Jimenez's art on it is just beautiful. This whole book is just so well done. And we were talking yesterday about how, you know, Batman is DC's flagship character, right? Like, I mean, without a doubt, the bestseller beats out Superman, beats out Wonder Woman, sells more books than anybody at DC, always has, since Detective 27. DC is willing to take some risks with this character and really allow the writers and artists to tell a very interesting story that's pushing Batman. Now, this is nothing that's super out there and crazy, but, you know, they're taking some chances.
I mean, you look at, like, how many other characters out there, like, the companies will always just kind of have the kid gloves on, like, they don't want to, like, break the toy or something. Like,
yeah, and that's what we were talking about yesterday was, gosh, if Company X would take the kid gloves off with, you know, character Y, they could have something this good. And this issue continues to just be great. And, you know, the whole tie-in Gotham War thing with Catwoman was really good because I think Catwoman is just an exceptional title right now too. But this going now in the direction of just Batman fighting his own insanity and, you know, plans that he put in place in case he went, you know, rogue or bad or lost his mission. It's just insane.
One of the things I'm curious about, so, like, because, like, the mentor in this is actually from Zdarsky's previous, like, series. I think it was called Batman the Night, where it's kind of like his, like, telling of, like, his, like, years abroad, like, training that. So, like, I'm very curious, like, if you go back and reread that, like, what other things might have been, like, seeding for this entire arc.
It feels like there was so much forethought put into this whole story. And I'll be honest, a couple of the things that early on seemed hoky's not quite the right word, but, you know, maybe not quite as deftly done. Like, I still really enjoyed it, but it was like, oh, you know, was that really the payoff that we got in the wrap up of this particular story arc? And now when you realize that, oh no, that was just the setup for the big picture.
Well, like, once you take, like, the wider, like...
Yeah, it's really good. If you haven't been reading Batman since Zdarsky took over, come in and get it. I know that we've got the graphic novel for the first arc in stock, and, you know, it's Batman, so we've got most of the back issues. But it's actually, last issue is a great place to pick up because I think 139 was the first issue post Gotham War. So, you know, come in, pick that up, pick up 140 this week, and you're off and running. So, speaking of off and running, let's get off and running with our consensus pick this week.
So, consensus pick is another new image title, Our Bones Dust. It sounds like there should be some other words in there, but if you check this out, they don't do English so good. So what it is, it's some kind of apocalypse has happened. There's really not much left for humanity, and what there is just kind of become like, I'm trying to think of, like, any other word besides, like, horrible cannibal people. But
no, it's horrible cannibal people.
Yeah, that's pretty much, like, there's multiple instances where someone's just like, we got enough meat. And it's just like someone who's eating a foot.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's their own foot.
So we both kind of picked this up just kind of last second and read through it real quick because we had a couple extra minutes. And it wowed is not the right word. It impressed me.
I loved your reaction when you were going through it because there were so many points where you're just like, oh. Good.
Yeah, it kept getting worse, like, in a good way.
Yeah.
The art is really cool. The The color palette is washed out, so it's got that kind of desert,
Yeah.
you know.
And if like the whole like post-apocalypse, so kind of like there's two like core like kind of little story things that are going on that are kind of like dovetailing at the end of it. So our actual first introduction is there's these like weird alien probes that are like kind of just like monitoring the planet, being like just kind of like studying it, taking samples and stuff that are they're these weird little guys. I love them.
Yeah, like archaeologists or you know, they're cataloging nature or something seems to be what they're doing.
And one of them seems to just absolutely like hate being there. It's just like, man, I'm tired. Can we just go on to the next plan? The other one's just like, this is great. I love this. I'm finding like plants and skulls. Like
yeah. And oh, by the way, the inhabitants that I tagged earlier have all cut off their ears, so I need to go find them and tag them again. Like, oh god.
Yeah. And then so like you got that, and then there's like this kid who's like just kind of like royally pisses off this like little enclave of other humans. He's like steals some of their water. They're like trying to send other people to find him, and I don't know. He's this little feral dude, and I love him.
Yeah,
like,
and he seems to be smarter than everybody else.
Yeah, like he's like.
But we haven't heard him say a word yet, so interesting. And then there's a horror monster at the end of it.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. You see kind of the wake of its destruction.
Yeah, you see
first,
and
then you get a glimpse of it at the end. But I'm not familiar with. Are you familiar with Steinbeck and Stewart?
Yeah, so Steinbeck is both like the writer and artist. Dave Stewart, I'm pretty sure I've seen they're the colors. I'm pretty sure I've seen them on other stuff before, and like what they do here is great. Some of this it almost kind of reminds me if we're talking like other artistic like influences. Like it kind of reminded me a bit of like Chris Samney or like I'm blanking on his name, but he had the series a couple years ago at Image that was kind of like a big send up to like kaijus and like Ultraman.
Yeah.
Ultra Mega was David Harbin, I think was his name. But yeah, like it's got like kind of a similar vibe like to those.
Definitely. Yep. Yeah. Phil Hester kind of esque.
Yeah.
And like I said, it totally took me off guard. I thought like, post-apocalyptic and whatever. It's definitely got some Road Warrior kind of vibes. Road Warrior, a little Walking Dead and the cannibalism.
Yeah. Road Warrior, if everyone talked like Packlets from Next Generation, which if you get that reference, then you definitely get what we're talking about here.
Yeah, it's really good.
We'd be smart.
There are a ton of good books on the wall, though. Like we said, there were Transformers. It seems like this could perpetually be our consensus pick every week. Because
we might have to actively try not to pick it.
Yeah, but and customers agree it is our number one selling title right now, and
it always sells out. Like
I keep upping the orders. Yeah, tons of good stuff. And Marvel's got a bunch of ongoing series that we've picked before: Avengers, Daredevil.
Some new stuff. Sentry was very interesting. I'm very curious where this one's going. The premise is there's going to be in typical Sentry fashion, a lot of people dead.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I was interested in the cover. I'm going to have to check that one out too and see where they're going with that. We've got your pick from a few weeks ago, follow-up issue, Petrol Head,
which was also great. More racing. You get a little Cockney hologram.
Ooh. And then there are a ton of Beach Loco variants this week. It's the Nightmare variants for Marvel, and they're all super cool looking. I tried to have restraint when ordering and could not, so I'm guessing people will not have restraint either when buying. And then there's a bunch of ratio variants, so if that's your jam.
Also, it says the season, we've got...
the holiday issues.
The Batman Silent Night or whatever.
It's a crossover with the movie, I think, isn't it?
I think it's him teaming up with Santa.
Well, yeah, but I think it's Santa from the... Isn't it? I thought that we had a cover that made it look like it was... the one with what's his name from Stranger Things.
Oh, David Harbour?
Yeah, maybe the variant cover just did.
I think that's just a variant cover, but that would be also very cool. I would love to see that.
Yeah, well, you're right. That makes more sense for Batman.
James Gunn, get on this.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah, so fantastic. Well, Again, like, follow, subscribe, stop on into the shop. That's the most important thing.
Mhm.
But if you can't make it in, we've got the app. We've got the website, pulpcg.com. You can check everything out that is released today there as well, and make sure that it gets reserved and paid for if you like, so that nobody else beats you to it. And since last week's Marvel stuff was delayed, we made sure to keep that out for anybody who was in early last week and may have missed that. So we'll be back again next week with more picks. Thank you for joining us. Have a great day.
For real though. It's so good.